Hello everyone, and welcome to this award ceremony for the second cohort of the European Innovation Council's Women Leadership Programme. I'm Aminda Lee, I'm a journalist and a moderator, and I'm based in Rome. I'm honoured to be your host for this virtual session with a packed programme for the next 90 minutes. Let me start by setting the scene. As you probably all know, the Women Leadership Programme, or WLP, organised by ISMEA, offers a skills enhancement programme for women who are principally members of EIC-funded projects, but not only. Activities are tailored to participants' needs, offering training and networking events, as well as mentorship and coaching. The aim is to help women on the programme to learn skills such as how to create a business from their research and how to grow it by scouting and negotiating with partners and pitching with investors. All vital skills to ensure that women can be successful leaders in their fields. In today's ceremony, we're bringing you inspiring female leaders to discuss women in business, as well as hearing from some of the mentoring and coaching experiences from the second cohort of the Women Leadership Programme, which started in May and concludes with this event today. The second edition of the WLP comprises 84 women in total, 58 Women Tech EU beneficiaries, 19 EIC researchers, and 7 beneficiaries from the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, or EIT. We encourage you, our lovely audience, to celebrate these 84 women with us and interact with us on the YouTube chat throughout the event. We'll be checking out what you're saying and monitoring it along the way. You can also make your voice heard at any time on social media, of course, using the hashtag EUEIC. As I mentioned, the WLP provides tailor-made services mainly to EIC-funded women researchers and innovators, but also for a group of EIT grantees, with 7 of them in this cohort. The leadership programme comprises 4 complementary activities. There's mentoring, business coaching, networking events, and different training sessions. We'll be hearing more about 2 of these areas today. These activities give EIC and EIT women researchers and innovators the right tools and skills to climb the business ladder, spread their wings, and achieve their goals. Veronica Benitez Pinero will be with us shortly to tell us more about this year's WLP cohort and ISMEA's future plans for the programme. Now, it won't have escaped your notice that this is the second cohort of the WLP, which begs the question, how are the first cohort getting along? Well, during this ceremony, we have some insider knowledge for you from women who participated in the previous cohort, telling us about their progress since completing the first WLP. Let's hear our first testimonial now. It's from Joanna Correa.
For me, the Women Leadership Program was all about self-confidence and empowerment. It was the perfect timing because I was looking into what I wanted to do with my company, and what I wanted to do was positive impact in the world. So within this wonderful group of women, I could really achieve these aims and understand what I want for my company for the next coming years.
So it's great to hear that the WLP empowered Joanna and gave her the self-confidence to make a positive impact. And it certainly seems as though the WLP made a positive impact on her too. Now I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, who's going to start our award ceremony with a rousing welcome words to inspire the discussions to come. Anna Bariasic is a member of the EIC board and a founder of Connectology, an international boutique agency that develops entrepreneurship and investment readiness projects and invests in early-stage companies. She's also the executive committee member of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, a year-round platform unleashing entrepreneurial ideas in 180 countries. On your behalf, I give her a very warm welcome.
Thank
Hello.
you so much. Hi.
Hello, Anna, and thanks for joining us. So I would now like to pass the floor to you and invite you to officially open this celebratory event and inspire our audience, especially the 84 innovators in the second cohort of the WLP. It's now over to you.
Thank you so much, Aminda. Good morning, everyone. And it is such a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to share some welcome messages and welcome words with such a fantastic community of women. So my name is Ana Barjosic, and I have been present in the European innovation ecosystem for more than 10 years now in various roles. And my affiliation with the European Innovation Council started in 2018 already, when I was invited to be a part of the EIC jury for the accelerator instrument. I was also involved in Women Tech EU, as well as the Women Prize Innovators. And essentially, I was then invited and appointed to become the EIC member last year, where I'm also chairing the Widening Country Working Group. And as you know, widening countries are 15 EU member states that still have some space to catch up when it comes to the innovation levels and when it comes to overall participation in Horizon Europe. And based on all these things and my experience and talking basically to hundreds of entrepreneurs around the world and especially in Europe, I'm delighted to share a couple of key messages that I would like you to think about moving forward. So we can start. Thank you. So first of all, I would like you to celebrate your success, because I think sometimes in Europe we are not the best at celebrating our successes, especially when it comes to women entrepreneurs. And I would like to really congratulate to every single one of you, because you have managed to secure and to achieve some of the most competitive programs in the world. And this is something that you really need to be proud of, because celebrating victory is really key to keeping your entrepreneurial mindset fresh. However, that's not enough. I need you to communicate your successes, because the way you communicate your successes will determine the way your investors see you, your clients see you, your peers see you. And the money is important, but what is even more important is the fact that you were recognized on a European level for your excellence in innovation. And this is something that I really need you to embrace. And also, as you are a part of the elite club now in the EIC, I need you to support each other. I need you to connect with each other and really create for all of you and your companies an environment that no one will want to miss out on. So you need to create a FOMO. Can you please have the next slide? Thank you. So I wanted to tell you a story about how I went to an entrepreneurship event a couple of years ago in a Middle Eastern country that is quite close. And in fact, on the first day, I realized in the audience there was really a number of women sitting there. So I was really surprised to see such a number of girls basically attending to all these events. And so I started talking to them. And then one girl said she's a computer scientist. Another girl said she's a IT engineer. A third one said she's a startup founder. And I've found this really impressive. I thought, wow, we don't have this kind of attendance even sometimes at the European events. However, when I talk to them and approach them with this thought, they said, well, in our country, we, startups and then taking risks, this is kind of women's job. And the men are in more serious businesses like oil and gas. So this is something that I will allow you to take your own conclusions on. But as you know, statistics and data overall is not, unfortunately, on our side. Every day we see a new study popping up saying only 1% of women are funded usually by the VCs. Only a couple of percent of R&D money goes overall in women's health and so on. So essentially, this is the state of the art that we need to improve. And if you want, there is a very interesting study as well, which is called We Ask Men to Win and Women Not to Lose, if you want to look into a little bit of psychological background of why this is happening. But no wonder this is the case, since women are participating in the labor market for roughly 100 years. And in some markets, they are very rarely even present. So basically what I want to highlight here is that women entrepreneurs, the phrase women entrepreneurs, it's not limiting per se. It's in fact just illustrating the situation where there are just less women entrepreneurs than men. So it's simple as that. And this is where you come in, and this is why your role is so dramatically important, because not only you have the responsibility towards yourself, but you have the responsibility towards all these generations of women who have paved the way for you to be where you are today, and also for the new generations of women that need to be empowered. So I encourage you to take this chance and take the chance that there is a momentum, that there are all these gender balance and ESG frameworks that many entities and companies need to comply with. And finally, just take advantage of the fact that now being a woman entrepreneur is finally an asset that you have. Next slide, please. So as you know, the upcoming times are not going to be easy, and there is a lot of buzz around stagflation, inflation, recession, economic downturn in general. And probably if you are fundraising at the moment and you have anticipated this to be done in 12 months, you probably need to count on 18 months instead. And once you have secured this funding, in fact, you need to be really, really careful how you spend that. And why I'm saying this, because I encourage you to be creative and open-minded and look for non-traditional solutions when it comes to financing. For instance, revenue-based financing or asset-based financing. These are all non-dilutive options that can work in your benefit. But there are also some good news. So the companies that are well-funded, and some of you, thanks to the EIC, are going to have more opportunities in the future in relation to others, because the well-funded companies could potentially think about merging or even acquiring some of the companies that have a weaker position or in general lower valuations. So what I would suggest is to make a list of such companies and monitor what is going on with them in the upcoming months, and maybe you just get surprised and you channel your growth through an opportunity like this. Finally, I would like to ask you to take care of yourselves, because there is, being an entrepreneur takes a lot of energy and it's very demanding, and you really need to try to balance as much as you can your mental and physical health together with your calling. So in conclusion, there is a lot to be done on our side. We all have the responsibility to change and improve the market and the status quo. And we at the European Innovation Council are counting on you. Thank you.
That was very inspiring, very motivating. And the advice seems very useful. I liked particularly the thing about celebrating your success. It's something that us women often are not very good at. So it was a really good thing. And of course, this is what all this ceremony is all about. So thank you very much indeed, Anna, for joining us. And please do follow the rest of the ceremony.
Thank you.
So now we're going to zoom into the Women Leadership Programme itself. Our next speaker will outline some of the benefits, activities, and results accomplished during the WLP, as well as exploring its wider impact. And she'll also be giving us news on the future of the programme, so I advise you to keep listening. Without any further ado, I'm honoured to introduce the Deputy Head of the EIC Transition Activities and Business Acceleration Services Unit, Veronica Benates Pinero. And she should be joining me on the screen. There you are, Veronica. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to our ceremony today. So you're going to give us a short overview of how the WLP has been progressing. So please tell us more.
Okay. Thank you very much, Amanda. Thank you for the whole welcome. And I would like to welcome you all to this ceremony, to all our audience, our participants, our mentors, our coaches, our partners, and other supporters. It is really my pleasure to be here today and really be the spokesperson of this program. The European Innovation Council, this time in partnership with the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, it's very happy to deliver this skills enhancement initiative to attend female entrepreneurs and researcher needs. And this is the second time, so we will see at the end what is upcoming after this second edition. This program is really our trump card to show that gender diversity in research and innovation is not only a buzzword. We started with good fit, and we really have to keep it going because this is needed as much as ever. I am very happy to have all the representatives and the participants of the second cohort of the Women Leadership Program today. We count on you to be our leaders for tomorrow. So I want to start a little bit putting the context and say that this is the second cohort. The first one was a pilot and it was launched by our commissioner, Maria Gabriel, in October 2021. We got a huge traction because from potential applicants, we got 213 applications at that time. 50 EIC beneficiaries were selected to take part in the program. We delivered 8 training and networking sessions. We had 44 mentors and 50 business coaches. We wanted to follow up, and we realized after the feedback of the participants that 90% of the participants were very satisfied with the program, and they reported that the program had increased their key skills. So it was really a strong motivation for us to get the feedback from the participants to continue the program and to make it even wider, opening it to other actors such as the researchers and the Women Tech EU and the EIT. Next slide, please. We kick off this second cohort in May, as it has already been said, together with Natalia Stefanovic. It's one of our inspiring female leaders in the house. The program today has served 84 participants from different life journeys. We had 58 founders and co-founders that received the EIC grants Women Tech EU. That was a new initiative from the EIC that provide financial support to women founders and co-founders of early stage deep tech startups. We welcome 7 beneficiaries of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. And here again, I would like to highlight the great partnership implemented with the EIT in this cohort, and 19 EIC researchers that applied to the joint program via our open call for participants and were selected to join. We had a very wide representation in terms of countries. We had these 84 participants. They come from 19 different countries, all across Europe and beyond, especially in Germany, the country with the most extensive in terms of quantity. We also can see in the right side graphic that demonstrate that the different sectors where these 84 women are engaged in, with a highlight in health, pharma, engineering, and biotech. Next slide, please. Now, let's quickly dive into the 4 elements of the program. The mentorship scheme offered support and advice from someone who has already walked a mile and was able to provide our participants with valuable incentive to go into the right direction. All the participants, the 84, got the chance to choose a mentor among our valuable pool of 200 entrepreneurs, investors, innovators, and senior managers who were very keen to share their experience in management, in project management, in their innovation pathway, and the diverse professional networks. Mentors help participants to define their career paths, overcome the existing challenges, and set also the next steps to increase their participation in business, innovation, and the technology area. We have also conducted 3 sessions to train the 68 mentors assigned and obtain their feedback. And another important element, because we really want to hear what's the experience for the mentors, has been the mentors report on the mentoring activity and impact. And here you can see we have selected some of the quotes from the mentors that they really consider it's a very enriching experience, and they also develop very good relations with the mentees as they help them go through these breakthroughs and through their careers. Next slide, please. A second element of our program is the business coaching scheme. The participants with technology readiness level 4 and above, they could start a journey with a business coach who helped them explore the potential of their innovations and improve their business plans. The participants were able to choose a coach from the EIC business coaches pool, composed of 350 coaches. And there was this exchange that has been going on, but still the exchange will happen until the end of the year. So it's one activity that goes beyond the timeline of the program and will continue ahead. Business coaching is not a mandatory activity. However, we really advise all eligible participants to implement it and benefit from this experience because it can really add value, especially to the innovation that they are developing. Next slide, please. Now I would like to go to the part of the training and networking events organized to answer the needs expressed by the participants when they apply to join the program. These sessions were delivered every month and focused on topics such as negotiation and strategic partnership, team management, leadership strategies, create scale-ups, etc., as you can see from the slides. I want to highlight the points, the training number 7 on pitching and how to present to investors. That was a specific training that was the first time that it was physical, took place in Bilbao with the great cooperation of the European Institute of Technology. Next slide, please. So in the impact assessment, we ask our participants to reflect on their progress on 8 specific skills during the program. As you can see from the graph, the red lines represent how participants analyzed their skills before the program, and the purple line shows how their skills increase on a scale from 0 to 10. I'm very happy, and the EIC and the IT, we're very happy to observe the greatest impact in very relevant areas such as pitching to investors, partner scouting, and board management. All increased more than 1.7 points. These are great numbers for the program, and we are very happy to know that this is how the participants see themselves after attending the offered service. You can also see some feedback that we have received in this impact report from the beneficiaries, where they say that it has been an excellent combination of sessions when it comes to training. It was a very broad experience made available to us. And also they said that it was a very useful program for me personally and for the company, for the trainings, mentors, and coaching support. Next slide, please. A final element I really want to stress is that the program continuation beyond its conclusion exists. Basically, we have set up an EIC Women Leadership Program alumni group. We have already 50 participants from the first cohort in the group, and we are happy to welcome now the new 84 participants of the second cohort. The idea of this group is to ensure the continued networking and sharing of relevant news, projects, and initiatives, and most important, a future peer-to-peer support. This alumni group can be found in the EIC community platform, and we will provide all the information necessary to the participants. And we hope that it would be a good way where they can exchange and they can continue and they can bring up new ideas for helping women entrepreneurs. Next slide. Instead of a conclusion or a goodbye, I would just to remark a few next steps regarding the Women Leadership Program. First of all, we are reopening our call for mentors to widen the profile of the personal mentors. And we are looking for entrepreneurs, investors, innovators, and senior managers, male or female. If you are interested, we invite you to apply through the link that is being shared now in the YouTube chat. Feel free to share with your peers, someone that you might consider that they will enjoy taking part in this process from the side of the mentorship. This somehow hints the fact that there will be a third cohort, and we will open the activities in early 2023. I invite you all to be tuned to follow the EIC and the EIT newsletters, social media, or the EIC community platform to learn more. Once again, congratulations to the 84 ladies that participated in this second cohort. Thank you very much. And as Anna said, let's celebrate your success.
Veronica, the findings were most interesting, particularly seeing the actual impact on participant skills such as team management, negotiating, and how to pitch to investors, all really important. So that was really good that the women got so much out of those activities. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Linda.
So we have heard the results of some of the hard work and commitment shown by both cohorts and the impressive achievements so far. Congratulations to you all. And it's great to hear that the alumni group is on the EIC community platform is proving so useful. We hope that the second cohort will also make good use of it too, now that they've finished their full WLP agenda. Before we move on to the next part of the ceremony, where we'll be hearing about mentoring and coaching schemes from both sides of the table, let's see another success story from a member of the first WLP cohort, Alessandra Balduini.
The EIC Women Leadership Program had a great impact on my career. As a scientist, I learned about business and about how to direct my science, my research in that sense. I'm particularly grateful to my business coach and to all the women I met for their strength, their innovation, their ideas that helped me in understanding how to explore new paths with my experiments and with my research projects.
It's great to hear that Alexandra picked up all important business skills to steer her research, and we'll be hearing more about the business perspective for women leaders a little later in the ceremony. Of course, we're here today to celebrate the 84 female researchers and innovators from the EIC WLP second cohort. Why not champion them on social media with a tweet or a comment, or you can share what you're hearing using the hashtag EUEIC. And of course, you can always post your comments on the YouTube chat as well. We're following that. Thank you. So now we're going to be hearing more about coaching and mentoring activities during the second cohort. To do so, we're going to be hearing from protagonists themselves in two tandems. In a moment, I'm going to be talking to a business coach and their coachee, but first we're going to concentrate on the mentoring side and discover more about its real impact. So who better to talk about the mentoring activities in the WLP than our participant herself? So welcome to the screen. Thank you for joining. And let's start from hearing from Claudia Gonzalez, a mentee from the second cohort. Claudia, what did you expect from the mentoring, and were your expectations met? And what was the most useful thing to come out of it for you?
Yeah. Okay, thank you for your kind invitation and to share my experience.
It was a quite new experience for me, and it was exciting for some aspects and really challenging for me. You have to think that I am a researcher used to deal with the setting of experiments, the studying of new strategies, the writing of scientific papers. The program, but especially Sarah, helped me to also look at other aspects of the research project. I learned how to improve the impact of a research scientific project at an economic and social level, and which also translated to an increase in the translational application of the project. Sarah was absolutely essential in guiding me in understanding how I can continue on the path traced by the project that I am coordinating, and how I can use the skills that I am learning for my future career. In short, this program strongly helped me to get out of my world of pure science and taught me the strategies to fit into the real world around me.
That sounds like a very important skill, because it's great to be in your research, but in the end you operate in the real world. Thank you for telling us about that. I'm sure there are many other women who are listening who had similar experiences too. Sara, your mentor, Sara Canella, can you tell us more about your background and why you became involved with the WLP, and what was it like being a mentor to Claudia? And also, did you learn anything in the process as well?
Yes, so thank you very much for inviting me. My background I started in an innovative startup in the green technology sector, then I moved to multinational corporation, then I became a consultant, and I usually support research organizations and companies to develop their innovative projects, research projects, and apply for EU funding, managing them. And that's why I thought that maybe I could put my background, my experience in this program, helping a person like Claudia in their project development. I have to say that I have learned a lot, because Claudia is really amazing. She's so passionate with her research project. So for me, it was really inspiring sessions that I had with her. And we learned, it was a really peer-to-peer exchange in my point of view. I had the same, I faced the same problems that she has to face when I deal with coordination of project at European level. So we really exchange experiences, and I think that we help each other in this development.
It's interesting, because you don't really think about the coach and the mentor themselves actually learning stuff. So it's interesting to hear that it was a kind of peer-to-peer conversation.
Yes.
Very much so. Claudia, how do you think you're going to be using the experiences that you got out of the mentoring? And also, what would you most recommend about the experience to other women who are perhaps considering applying for the third cohort of the WLP? And the last question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how useful do you think that mentoring will be for your future career?
Okay. As I said before, I learned a lot, and I think that that everything I learned during this program now is part of me, and I'm quite sure that I will use for my future work as a researcher, but also for my career. And another aspect which for me has been really, really important, it has been the possibility of sharing my experience with 84 participants, 84 amazing participants. And also these incredibly helped me in the growth process during these 6 months. And the possibility of networking is another very important aspect of this program. And I strongly hope that I could be in touch with the person that I met during this period.
I strongly recommend to apply to this program, in particular for women scientists, for women researchers, because as I told you before, it's really important to change our mind. I mean, sometimes we don't have the proper mind for the full development of the project. As I told privately before, I'm very sad that the program is over. I enjoyed a lot, and in particular with participating to the in-person event in Bilbao. It was absolutely inspiring for me and very instructive.
Thank you. It's good to hear that you've got so much out of it and that you'll be taking it on and moving it into the future. It's interesting, it's tying in with what Anna said before about giving yourself a fresh mindset. And so it's good that Sarah helped you do that.
Yes.
Sarah, when you're looking at specific challenges, are there anything that that came up that you think might be useful for the other women who are listening here today to hear? And apart from joining the WLP or keeping up with the alumni group, could you pass on a top tip to help all our women cohorts and everybody else in the program today listening to spread their leadership wings further and farther?
Yes, so about the challenges, I can report the challenges that we faced, also talking in our sessions with Claudia, and I think that many entrepreneurs and researchers will face them, and they are related with, for sure, the management of a company, a project. I know very well how a person feels when you have to present your project in public, looking for investors, because I did that in the past, so I know how challenging is this part, but also it's important to believe in our project, in our strengths, know us very well. So developing these kind of skills related with business, marketing, we should have the capacity to present our projects. They are like little babies that
Yes.
we want to develop. And the most important thing is that we can't do by ourselves. I mean, we need to look for help. We need to look for networks that can help us to enrich our skills, to help us to develop our projects. So I think that the tips is spread what you are doing. I mean, talk to people, look for good connections, for good stakeholders, present, join networks like that and programs like that that can help you to strengthen your potentialities. And I really believe that is a very important part, and connections are precious.
I see, Claudia, you're nodding furiously.
Yeah.
You obviously...
I like Sarah very much because you can imagine I was instructive to be mentored by her, because yes, I totally agree with her, and she taught me a lot about this aspect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for coming. It's very interesting what you're saying about having belief in your project and the self-confidence. And that, again, ties in with our initial speaker from what Anna said about having the confidence to celebrate your success and have the confidence in your ideas. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your experiences. And Claudia, I hope that you will obviously keep in contact with the alumni group and keep this network going, as well as growing other ones as well.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, as we heard earlier from Veronica, we are delighted to also announce that the call for new mentors is open. If you're an experienced mentor, please check the link we're going to be adding to the YouTube chat right now and send in your application. But if you're already in the mentors pool, don't worry, you don't have to renew your application. So now it's time to turn to the business coaching side of the WLP with our second tandem of this ceremony. And hopefully we can see our other daring duo on the screen. Hello, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I'm now going to start this tandem by introducing Daniela Vertu. You had the opportunity to have some top-class business coaching alongside other entrepreneurs and researchers with technology readiness level 4 and above. Can I ask you, what were the main skills you wanted to learn and why were those skill gaps so important for you to fill?
Thank you for inviting me to share my experience, Aminda. I am a co-founder and CCO of Sendance, a deep tech startup that sells stretchable sensor grids as component for medical wearables. And with my PhD in physics, I feel confident about the technical aspects of our product. And with the help of the Women Leadership Program, I wanted to gain that same confidence about my business skills. And to achieve that, the objective of my business coaching was to prove the commercial concept of our MVP with 3 pilot customers in order to sharpen the go-to-market strategy. So in our coaching sessions, Virginia and I talked about ideal customers, value proposition, pricing, revenue streams, software as a service, and opportunities to enter new markets, which was very valuable to bringing the business forward. But as the coaching progressed, the focus shifted a little bit and we worked additionally on my leadership skills based on my personal strengths, which has empowered me in my role as a CCO and also as a person. So this was very helpful for me.
Wonderful. That sounds very positive. Good that you've learned some practical things like, customers and pricing and all those really important revenue streams. But also then you've worked on yourself as well. Your business coach, as we heard, was Virginie Vinel-Kolovos. She is an EIC business coach with more than 20 years experience working as a business and marketing consultant with startups and as a key account director for technology giants such as Apple, Analog Devices, Compaq, IBM, and Texas Instruments. Virginie, can you tell us a little bit more about how the coaching process works and how it progresses? And also we've heard a little bit from Daniela about what areas you concentrate on. How do you decide that? What areas to look at? And did you, like before, did you learn anything from the experience?
Yes, thank you very much, Aminda. And also thank you for the invitation. So, Aminda, I cannot talk for the other 399 coaches on the pool of coaches of the EIC that you can choose from. So I can only talk for myself and from this relationship and this dance, which we call in coaching with Daniela. So I'll tell you how I personally feel as an accredited coach for the European Coaching and Mentoring Council. And the process and progress is based on my experience as a coach, but also as a SME leader. I hope it's not serious behind you. So I think there are 6 areas and components of this collaboration that we have in coaching. So first of all, setting up the goal. So I know you select things you want to work on with a coach. I think it's important to be very precise on which ones you want. So choose 2 or 3 areas because too many is not going to be successful. You're going to spread the focus too wide. And also, ideally, they are stretch goals because otherwise you don't need a coach. Take it as if you're running a marathon. You do need a coach for a marathon because it's demanding and the coach is taking you there further. You need duration, so you need at least 3 months for change. It's about transformation. You need cadence. So Daniela probably will explain, we have a meeting every 2 weeks. You need also accountability for coaching. It's very important. So this is my job to hold the coachee accountable to actually deliver on the objectives and the activities that they have set. I don't set the objectives, they do. Celebration, which was mentioned early on. So this is my job to also celebrate when, wow, Daniela, you have, realized this empathy is actually a strength, and you can use it for your future business leadership. And agility, so my agenda, on the agenda is not my agenda, is the coach agenda. And we are here to serve. So as Daniela explained, the agenda changes throughout the experience.
Very interesting.
You asked me what I learned. So I think from certainly working with Daniela, again, it just reinforced something in my mind that I learned coaching as a leader. I had a team of 10 people when I was working in an SME, and we were growing very fast. And so if you have the chance to have a coach, you actually will discover that it's a style of leadership. And you can, with a coach, discover it and then embrace it in your leadership every day.
Very interesting. I like the way you describe it as a dance. Daniela, the dance aspect for you, that sort of, let's say, communicating with Virginie and moving together towards your future. What was the main thing that you got out of this dance for you that you're going to then take forward from here?
So for me, the most important thing I learned is that you really need a coach that you trust in, because the experience that I made is that coaching is really a very personal thing, because your coach motivates you to take action, gets you out of a comfort zone, to initiate behavioral changes. And to do this, you have to be absolutely honest to your coach and also to yourself, which takes courage and is not always easy. And such a safe setting in which you feel comfortable to open up was very important for me. So I really recommend all upcoming participants to take advantage of the chemistry course. So this is, I think, very valuable. And secondly, I encourage everyone to be open to coaching tools offered. Some of them might seem unusual. I was quite surprised, as Virginie once suggested, playing cards to identify my leadership objectives. So my tip is be curious. And last but not least, as a coach, you should be consistent concerning your coaching plans. So schedule coaching sessions in advance is very helpful. In my case, as Virginie said, 2 hours every 2 weeks was fine to work on the planned actions until next time. But concerning the topics, for me, being agile worked best, because I first did not plan to work on my leadership skills or time management, as I was quite focused on sales and customer relations. But I'm very thankful that my dance with Virginie brought me there. So to sum it up, coaching is a great opportunity for personal growth as entrepreneur, and therefore seize it and take the chance to get the coaching via this program.
It's very interesting how you started off thinking that you wanted to learn one thing and then you ended up moving from there. Virginie, is that quite a common experience that people come with ideas and then they change their mind? And for you, what was the most enjoyable part of the coaching experience?
Yeah, so it is common, and we have the freedom to actually go into areas that are not in the work plan because we have experience of running businesses for some of us. I don't know if it's the case for everybody. So we have to adapt, and this agility, I think, is very crucial because we identify areas to develop. But as I know, as Daniela illustrated, we're actually coaching the person, not the business. We're coaching the leader. So that's why it's about people, and it's about developing those people. And actually, women empowerment is one of the top growing areas of the coaching industry today. So the two things I really enjoy working with female leaders is actually spotting their strengths, their inner strengths, not me spotting it, them actually spotting it, because we use tools to do that, and the cards is just one. And helping them find ways to grow the business using those strengths and to lead teams, because teamwork is very important, and leading others with your own very own strengths, which might be very different to other people's styles of leadership, and the satisfaction, of course, of this blossom in the process. And secondly, I think the other way is how the tools that we bring together, so every coach has a different style. So the tools we build specifically for the coachee we have many models and many tools in coaching. So how you actually make your own recipe to move things forward. And that for me, it's a complete delight, because it's not the same recipe for everybody.
Of course, it's very different. You have to look at and listen to the person in front of you. Very interesting. Well, thank you both. Thanks to Virginie Vinel-Kolosov and to Daniela Vertu as well, along with our mentor that we heard earlier on, Sara Canella, and mentee, Claudia Gonzalez. You've given us all a sneak peek and a real flavor, though, of these two activities during the second cohort of WLP. So thanks for sharing your inspiring tips. Don't know about the rest of the audience, but it certainly made me wish that I could apply for the next round of the program. And if you want to join, you should certainly follow the WLP website and Yasmia's monthly newsletter to be informed about the opening date of the next cohort in 2023. Ladies, I'm now going to release you from the screen. Thank you. But please do continue following our award ceremony because we're going to be coming up with a discussion about women in business, looking at driving cultural change, providing leadership, and creating solutions. So let's move on to that discussion about women in business, particularly looking at the aspects of providing leadership, creating solutions, and driving change. And now I'm going to be joined by Daphne Hyam-Langford, Angel Giuliano, and Samia Neek, who have become leaders in their different fields. They're going to be discussing how women can prepare themselves to tackle the challenges they will face as leaders in the business world. So our second roundtable speakers are joining me. There we are, all of them on the screen. Nice to see you. Hello to Angel, Samira, and Daphne. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So in this ceremony, we've already heard the many different ways that the WLP has given women practical help, advice, and tools to take off in the business world. I'm going to start this discussion with Angel Giuliano. As an entrepreneur, a business angel supporting other female-led businesses, and the former president of the Maltese Foundation for Women Entrepreneurs, the cause for female entrepreneurship must be very close to your heart. Where do you see the added value of a program like the WLP?
Thank you, Amanda. And indeed, entrepreneurship is very close to my heart. You know, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years and I've never really looked back. But the great thing about having a program like the WLP, which we used to dream of before, is really, you know, to help the women researchers and entrepreneurs get direct help, the direct mentoring, you know, and assistance to scale up in Europe and not just in their own country. And I mean, one thing which is great, as we've already seen, is it's also helping them to open doors. So with it, we are kind of, you know, starting or continuing to build, you know, the European Girls Network, if you know, allow me to say it that way. And of course, talking of girls, I have to mention also the next generation. I think having a program like the WLP will really help the next generation of girls and women to have role models to look up to.
Interesting. In fact, we were hearing earlier on about, you know, the generations and how each generation passes the baton on. So this is very, very relevant. Thank you for raising that. Samira Neek, you're an EIC program manager for quantum and electronics. By deciding to study material sciences and nanoelectronics and materials characterization, you've entered rather an unconventional field for women. What drove you to pursue this path, and what would you advise? What advice would you have for all the ladies pursuing careers in, I would say, male-dominated sectors?
Thanks, Amanda. Actually, most of this came from the passion that I have for math and physics, you know, during my studies in high school. And I always thought that I would like to pursue this high-tech domain, let's say, and understand better what's happening there and be a part of it. And you're right, it's quite male dominant. I remember when I started my master thesis in a quantum department, I was the only girl with 25 guys. And this is definitely changing. I mean, since I have been doing that, now I see many more girls in this field, and I'm very happy. And what I can say is that I have been facing a lot of strange questions about, like, do you think this is a suitable field for you? It comes from female and male people, but at the same time, there are so many nice professors, nice colleagues that are really trying to encourage you. So what I want to say to the next generation, or people who are interested in these kind of deep tech areas, is that don't be afraid of choosing your true wish, and don't be disappointed by people's comments. Always try to pursue what you want, and change is different, then change is difficult when you are trying to go from more traditional to a little bit different fields, but don't be scared. And one last comment, I would like to see a day that we don't be surprised by seeing women in this field.
Excellent. That sounds like certainly a good wish for the future, and it's you and the other people who are coming after you are certainly helping to open those doors. So thank you for sharing that and making people feel confident into going into these kind of spheres. Daphne Langford, your company Tarsia Pharma was awarded the EU Women Innovators Prize in 2021. Congratulations. Can you share some of the key factors of the success that led to that recognition, perhaps ones that other women entrepreneurs could learn from?
Well, I think that in one word, I will say innovation, and in three, innovation, innovation, and innovation. Thank you. So Tarsia Pharma is developing a new drug for blinding eye diseases like uveitis that affects young kids and young adults. Inflammatory blinding diseases is a field that suffers from lack of innovation for the past 70 years. No one wanted to go to this area, and people still losing their sight for this disease. So everyone is doing the same, and we decided to do everything differently. We developed a new innovative molecule, which is the new drug entity. We developed a new formulation. We even developed the assessment tools to assess the level of the disease, and decided on a very unique and innovative indication, which is the most severe cases of uveitis, namely uveitic glaucoma, which is the end stage of uveitis. Those are the people that will lose their sight for a very high, in a very high percent. So with this, we are now in phase 3 clinical trial based on a lot of innovation. And to my fellow entrepreneurs, I will advise to be passionate about what you are doing all the time. Find your way, because if it's your way, it will lead you to innovate, of course. And my main message, and I think that it's also related to some other things that were said during this session, is never work with the ones who tells you that something cannot be done. Surround yourself with the enablers, the ones that will help you think how to overcome challenges, and not the one that will tell you that you cannot achieve something.
That sounds like a very good piece of advice, looking for enablers and people who will support you. And also the idea that you should work in what your passion is. We've heard that from Samira as well, and also from Angel. Very, very important to have be able to exploit your passion. Thank you. Back to Angel. We've heard obviously a number of factors that need to be in the right place to grow a business. And of course, capital is certainly one of those. What advice would you give to women who are looking for funding? We've heard a little bit before about maybe in the current climate, we need to give ourselves more time to get the funding. And what advice would you share for people, for the women who are looking to expand their enterprises?
Okay, so when we talk of funding, it's important to remember that there are two main types of funding. There would be the diluting type, so the private investors, which would take a share percentage of your company. And then there's the non-diluting type, things like loans, guarantees, and grants. And the first thing I want to tell people is you need to blend those two in such a way that you're not only diluting yourself out of your own business, because that is something that unfortunately we see a lot happen. So for the diluting type, my suggestion would be, first and foremost, do not be afraid to approach business angels and investors in person. 2, try to pitch in as many locations as you can. So pitch into all sorts of competitions, awards, things which will help you gain also credibility and confidence. 3, as we always say, ask for advice, get funding. So again, approach people to ask for advice, to ask them what they think you should do. And importantly, build your own brand as a person, as a team, as a company. Remember, investors invest in people, not in things. So that's for the diluting type. For the non-diluting type, then I would say start by looking at grants at local, regional, national levels. Go to the business development agencies, talk with them. I mean, I know it's all about emailing nowadays, but sometimes, the personal touch I still feel is important at the local level. Then at the European level. So there are many, many programs, and I know that you have started, all of you here, from some of the most difficult ones, like, Horizon and EIC. There are many others. So look at things like Single Market Program, Life, Digital Europe, Health. There might be others which are sort of in your vertical. And the most important type of funding of all, get sales. That is the sweetest litmus test of whether your business is actually, going in the right way. And let's face it, without traction, without sales, the investors would not want to come in.
Gosh, you gave a lot of tips there. I hope everybody was making a note, but if you didn't manage to get them all down, this session, this award ceremony is being recorded and you can go back and listen again afterwards. Thank you. Now, Samira, during your career, you were creating links between research, small businesses and industry. In the business world, €1 of generated revenue should be preferred over €2 of investment. So how can small businesses ensure that this revenue, by creating links with industries and big corporates, how can they find it? And how do European level policies support this?
So I would refer to what Angel said. Actually, a lot of important things are coming from more visibility of these startups or these new businesses. So the more they pitch, the more they be visible, the better. And of course, they will get more funds, and also they find a better market for themselves. So it's very important, of course, to invest in startups and new businesses, but also to make sure that there is a market and they reach to their basically the prime that they're looking for to be in the market. So what EIC is doing that, so we have these different schemes in EIC. One of them is called Corporate Days. So we are in line with big corporates in Europe, and at these days we invite selected number of projects that we have, our beneficiaries, to give a pitch in these corporates. The ones, for instance, it's a digital or in health or in energy sector. Based on that, we select them, they give a pitch, and then they will find a possible customer, let's say, or a possible investment or market. Also, another thing that we are trying to do, for instance, when there is a very huge exhibition like GAIX in Dubai, it was like beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken, then still we invite a number of our projects to follow us in such a big exhibition, to have a pitch, to be in interaction with the other players in the field, to find their market and to find a business for themselves. So these are the type of things that we are doing. And then also at the level of a program manager, I'm also trying to make sure that if I see a very promising result from a project, I will definitely try to make sure that I will connect them with the relevant fields and relevant industries. For instance, for my field, for instance, if I'm in MEMS or quantum workshops, I always try to advertise for the projects that we have, that I think they have a really niche innovation, to make sure that the big players in this ecosystem are aware of them and try to contact, to make a connection and get to the next level.
Gosh, it sounds like, and from what we've heard from Angel as well, there's a lot of things out there. It's a big ecosystem. It's quite complicated and quite difficult to navigate. So Daphne, I have a question for you. How did you experience and navigate through this ecosystem? And what do you wish someone would have told you when you started out?
Well, I will start with the enablers. Many people told me that I cannot do it. To develop a drug, it's usually 100 million investments and 10 years or so. But you need to start someplace. So I looked for the ones that support what I try to do. And again, I think that we are in the right track for accomplish this. However, in any intersection of my career, I worked closely with people that I can learn from. It started with my PhD supervisor, Professor Palti, that introduced me to entrepreneurship and practically changed my life. And developing a drug and create a company is two major different tasks. It's legal, it's finance, it's chemistry and clinical development, regulation, QA, GDPR, any topics, HR, of course. So at any given time, I have a few mentors that I'm consulting with. They are part of the journey that myself and the company is marching in order to bring this drug to market. And I think that it's key to hear, listen, and then to make informed decision. You don't need to take any advice that you are being given, but you need to get a lot of advisors in order to choose the right one for you.
Very interesting. Very interesting that you've got more than one mentor in different fields. It kind of makes sense, but it's the first time I've heard of that. Thank you. We're going to be concluding this. So this is our final round of comments. We'll keep them nice and short if possible, please. So Angel, as an EIC ambassador, you're closely engaged with the EIC and other business networks. It seems as though being involved in various networks with access to the right knowledge, people, and potential investors is crucial for growing a business. How can the participants who are following today and who have been in the second cohort, how can they grow their networks and seek support beyond the WLP?
Yes, so very importantly, don't be shy. First and foremost, push yourself, go out there, and in your communications, come out as confident. Then invest time in going to conferences, events, webinars. Are they in person or online? Make sure your social media is also a positive place. I mean, people like feel-good stories, so don't try to be, a little bit on the dark side. And when it comes to networks, I have a few I want to mention, which I believe are great in Europe for all of the people here. So the EEN, the European Enterprise Network, okay, this is available in all EU member states. SME United, it represents 16 million SMEs in Europe. Clustercollaboration.eu, different industrial clusters. F6X platform, has a lot of accelerators and investors. EBAN, the European Business Angel Network, they have open events you can attend. And venturealliances.eu, they do joint ventures between entrepreneurs and academics. Finally, on the 7th of December, I would like to invite everyone, if you haven't yet done so, to register and come to the EIC Summit. There will be investors, entrepreneurs, innovators, and most of us there, it would be great to meet you in person. So I will be there, so come hunt me down, and it would be so great, to continue discussion together.
Fantastic. And we're posting a link in the YouTube chat where you can actually find out more details about that event and hopefully register and go and meet Angel in person. Samira, as the EIC program manager, you oversee the portfolio of quantum tech and electronics. Can you tell us more about the EIC project managers? What's their role? And how can you and your colleagues help EIC beneficiaries, especially the ladies in our cohort, and help them make their businesses go to the next level?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to make it so short, but I can say that in general, the program manager is a new role that was not existing before in the Commission. So basically, all of us, me and my colleagues, we are 10 PMs with different backgrounds. We are experts in different fields. And our main role is basically based on our knowledge and based on the network of scientists that we have. We identify the challenges that EIC wants to invest in for the coming work programs each year. So this is one of the main things that we are doing. And the other one is the proactive project management. So each of us have a portfolio. We build our portfolio based on the projects that we think they are more in line with what EIC is going to find and invest. And one important thing here is that we are trying to monitor these projects, maybe like a helicopter view, but we are always trying to identify the ones that have very successful and important outcomes. Even at very early stage research, the Pathfinder research step that we have, and we have a special program like Fast Track to put them to the accelerator, make sure that they are phase 2 investment. So these are the things that we are trying to do to make sure we are helping our beneficiaries. Also, we always have these open discussions with them. I mean, they can all reach us out, and I have had this at least a few times that they reach and they say, okay, I have this great product, but I don't know how to be more visible. So they're trying to link them to the possible markets, as I mentioned before. And also, very, very importantly, for at least my area, is that it's very, very expensive industry. So we are trying to help them to get as much private investment as possible. So many different things that we can help them. And I really encourage our, especially female scientists and researchers and startups to reach out. We are 4 out of 10 female PMs that are very eager to help you as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And Daphne, just a very, very quick from your point of view, because you've obviously done amazing things. You've done things that people said were impossible, and you've proved them wrong. Who's the person who's had the biggest influence on your career, and why? Can you tell us in a sentence? You're muted.
I'll go back again to Professor Palti. Professor Palti is my PhD supervisor from more than 20 years ago. And when I started my work in his lab during my thesis of the master degree, he established a company, and it was a startup company in the biotech field more than 20 years ago. It was one of the first ones, I believe, in medtech. And I was inspired by this, and part of my master degree, I worked in the company, and he opened me the window to entrepreneurship. This wasn't something I was aware of at all back then, but then it just opened everything, the business aspects, the marketing aspects, definitely the regulatory and clinical. It's a very knowledgeable and heavy industry to be part of. And I hope that I'm able to do the same for people that are working with me today, for the young female and male that are coming to work for me and in my company, but also in other entrepreneurship areas, and try to inspire and let people know that there are other things that they can do that's not necessarily their parents and their communities imagine that they can do. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thanks to all our fantastic speakers. It was so interesting, and we've had so many tips and information passed on in this very short time. So thank you very much indeed. So, believe it or not, we're actually coming to the final part of this ceremony, celebrating the second WLP cohort, including some words of encouragement to come from the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, Maria Gabriel. But before that, we're going to set the WLP within the scope of wider EU policies to elevate women leaders, and to hear some of the key accomplishments from the programme's second cohort with our final two speakers. Hello, and a warm welcome to our awards ceremony. We have Jean-David and Martin. You are both leaders, obviously, of very big organizations and have years of experience in leading your teams and the service provision that you provide. So I'm sure you've got a lot to share with the leaders in our cohort today. For this reason, I've got two very short questions to be answered to start off with one word I'd like, and then you can explain with one additional sentence. So Martin, let me start with you. What's the leadership skill that you value the most and why?
Happy to be here. Hello to everyone. Problem solving, I would put at that leadership skill, because in the end of the day, as a leader, you have to make hundreds of decisions each day, big ones, small ones, and your business or your organization will thrive if you make, in the majority, the right decisions, most of them good ones. And that's why, in the end of the day, that's the most important leadership skill for me.
Interesting, problem solving. I wouldn't necessarily have put that on the top, so thank you. And Jean-David, what about your leadership role model? Who was it and why?
Good morning, Aminda, and good morning, Martin. Good morning to everybody. People who knows me could imagine I would have answered Charles de Gaulle or Abraham Lincoln or Elon Musk. But it happens that the leadership role model that is the closest to my heart is a woman, and it is Simone Weil. So for those who don't know Simone Weil, I mean, I have always been impressed and inspired by her courage, resilience, strong will, and vision. She's somebody who survived from Auschwitz camp. She became the first elected president of the European Parliament. She had a strong moral conviction and knew which battles to fight. And for those who are aware about it, she was at the origin of the legalized abortion rights in France. And if you want to know more about her, I would strongly recommend that you watch the recently published movie Simone, Le Voyage du siècle, so the travel, I mean, the journey of the century, which is very inspiring.
Oh, thank you. One to go and check up on after this ceremony.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Jean-David, you're leading ESMIA, which is in charge of the EIC Women Leadership Programme. The agency has a mission to support European deep tech innovations. So how does the WLP contribute to that mission?
First of all, allow me to say some warm words of congratulation for the program participants for their work and efforts, and allow me to also sincerely thank them and their mentors, as well as the other partners who made this cohort, this second cohort, again, a great success. So answering your question, this program is one of our key actions to close the gender gap among EIC beneficiaries. Yet we aim higher, of course, with spillovers and many partners involved. We are improving the gender balance in deep tech in general. As you know, today deep tech accounts for over a quarter of Europe's startups, with the sector now valued over 700 billion euro. But yet women remain largely underrepresented, and only 15% of deep tech startups are funded by women, and the bare minimum of funding goes to women funders. Also, they outperform their male counterparts, as mentioned in a number of studies. But we have here some good news too. According to the latest Atomico report, almost 1/3 of the youngest leaders with up to 5 years of experience are women. And with initiative like the Women Leadership Program, the WLP, as you said often this morning in this very inspiring moment, we are accelerating, in fact, this momentum and calling upon investors and industry to empower female leaders. So the desired objective might not be achieved yet, it's clear, but I believe that the learning and skills obtained empower participants to grow their business and pursue career goals.
Yes, it's a start of on a perhaps longer path.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, Martin, I'm now going to turn to you. As Director of EIT, an institution that provides entrepreneurial support and is present throughout the European innovation ecosystems and in various sectors through the EIT innovation communities. Can you share any good news? We've heard a little bit from Jean-David about European female leaders in innovation.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And first of all, I would like to underline what Jean-David said, that unfortunately, we're not yet there for the really good news, which would be if, 50% of leaders of tech companies would be women, if 50% of the investments go to those companies, and maybe 50% of the unicorns are women-led. So I think there's still, unfortunately, a long way to go, and things are progressing. And there are some good news, but too little and too slow. So I think this is important to underline, and that's why it's fantastic to have this type of program like the EIC Women Leadership Program, and we're really happy to cooperate so closely also with the EIT with it. On our end, we have some good news in the sense that some milestones are positive. For example, in our last EIT Awards, 3 out of the 5 winners across all categories were women. We have our last chair of our governing board was a woman, and also we have an alumni president. We have gone very far in introducing programs for women entrepreneurs, and I think some of them can be very interesting for the participants here as well. I would just mention 2 of them, giving limited time. There are many more in our knowledge and innovation communities, but one of the flagship ones is a Supernova program, which is one which is across all our innovation communities, meaning covering all the sectors: climate change, health, energy, mobility, everything. And there we aim to support women to join tech companies. So coming out of education programs, STEM programs, to go straight into tech companies. That is facilitated. There is also a component called Rocket Up, which helps women companies to access a new market, a new member state or a new region. There is another component which is Women to Invest, which both helps women investors to build a community, a network, so they can in particular support each other and women-led startups, but also actually encourages also to go into venture capital, into investment for women to facilitate that career path. And then finally, it is women leader mentoring. You talked about that in the last session. I think it's also extremely important to have role models, coaches, access to advice. So that's one of the programs. The other one I would like to briefly mention is our new Deep Tech Talent Initiative, which actually aims to skill 1 million people in the coming years across Europe. And we have our internal aim that at least 30% of those should be women. So we're talking about 300,000 women in deep tech being upskilled. I think that will make a difference.
Oh, yes, there's certainly quite a lot of opportunities there. Very exciting. I hope everybody's been making a note of some of the names. And again, you can watch the ceremony again in case you didn't catch them all, because we're really giving you a lot of very useful information and tips here. Thank you. I think it's very motivating to know that there's all these programs out there and all these efforts to try and get more women involved. So while we're kind of on, we're on the right path, maybe still early days of it, but we're on the right path to gender balance innovation. It's certainly encouraging to know that all these measures, as along with the EIC WLP, are there to support prospective female leaders and entrepreneurs. Jean-David, going back to you, can you tell us more about ISMEA's key actions to support female entrepreneurs?
Thanks. In ISMEA, we are actively promoting and supporting actions involving female entrepreneurs, from making female-led companies visible by creating role models and building communities, to ensuring that more women are applying for and receiving EU funding. So allow me just like Martin did, to cite and quote a number of them. So apart from the first-class coaching and mentoring to female founders under the WLP, which I'm happy to confirm will continue next year, Some of you are certainly familiar with the Women Tech EU initiative. It's a program where we are providing a grant of 75,000 euro to help women take their business to the next level. It's a program in which we are providing support at the earlier and riskiest stage of companies to increase the number of women launching their startup. And recently we reached a record number of 467 applications received for this program, which demonstrates the high interest and proves the relevance of these actions that we intend to continue, of course, also in 2023 and beyond. We further encourage women founders and leaders to apply to our funding instrument by including and increasing gender quotas. And this is in particular true for the EIC Accelerator, which is our flagship under the European Innovation Council program, where we are providing, as you know, for scaling up purpose, a mix of a grant of up to 2.5 million euros and an investment component, an equity or equity-like investment that could go up to 15 million euro, and where we have introduced some rules ensuring that a certain percentage of companies invited to our interviews, which is the last step of our evaluation process, must be funded or led by women. We have started with 20%, and our objective at the end of the framework program would be to reach as close as possible the famous 50% objective. On top of this, we also cherish women entrepreneurs by every year awarding an EU prize for women innovators. The prize, in fact, has a purpose to acknowledge the most talented women entrepreneurs who have founded a successful company and brought innovation to the market. And in this context, I invite you to follow this year's EIC Summit in December, on the 7th and the 8th of December, to learn who will be the winners, the lucky winners of this year's competition. You will have a lot of opportunities there also to meet a number of previous winners. And I was also very pleased to see that in today's ceremony awards, we had the presence of some of them. And last but not least, I don't want to monopolize the floor. We are also working with network, and some of them were quoted, by the way, in the previous panel, such as the Enterprise Europe Network or the WeGate community. These networks are doing a great job, I have to say, in supporting and motivating women entrepreneurs by creating synergies and promoting their work worldwide. I'd like to say a few words in particular on the EEN, the Enterprise Europe Network, which is also providing direct support to the female founders in their application for the EIC accelerators that I just mentioned before.
Okay, thank you. We're coming to the end of our ceremony, so I'm going to have to keep this brief. Just one thing, I mean, obviously this time in this year's cohort, we've seen that, the EIT and ESMER have joined forces. And why did you decide to do that? What led to the decision? Jean-David, I'll ask you that. And then Martin, I'd like to know, can we expect more collaborations like this? Jean-David, very briefly.
Very briefly, I mean, because it was so evident that we had to work together. I mean, if you listen to what Martin just said before on the type of activities they have, what are their target group and what are the initiatives that we have launched and what is our target group also, I mean, we have to work together. It would be a nonsense not to work together. So this is why from the very beginning, already before the launch of the current framework program for research and innovation, Horizon Europe, under which both of us are part of, we have decided to sign the memorandum of understanding between EIC, in reality mainly, and EIT, in order to develop a number of things jointly. I'm very glad that this cooperation was up to now very successful. Our ambition is to reinforce it in order to do even more for the benefit of our brilliant and promising entrepreneurs under the Innovative Europe pillar of Horizon Europe, and as foreseen also in the new European Innovation Agenda. And I'm sure that the relation we forged between EIC and EIT already also in this context, because we had this time in this cohort a participant coming from the EIT, will continue and even beyond the program for which we are together this morning.
Martin, some final words from you?
Yeah, I will actually not underline how important and how self-evident this is to work together, and we will expand it, including with a joint award, which is important, if only symbolically, but give an example on how that works in practice. So a few weeks ago, we had an event on women entrepreneurship leadership in Bilbao as part of our series of innovate events. And actually there we invited also EIC colleagues, startups, female-led startups from the Women Leadership Program from Tech EU, and actually could see on the ground how they then were connected with our knowledge and innovation community, saying, oh, fantastic, actually this fits very well our innovation. We would like to work more with EIT raw materials, with EIT food, and those connections were made on the spot, and they will now receive not just funding, but advice and access to our whole ecosystem. So I think anyone who was at this event saw this working in practice and will have no doubt why it's important that the two programs work hand in hand on this topic.
Fantastic. Well, that's very encouraging. And we already have dates for the diaries for everyone for December to find out the winner of the Innovation Prize. Thank you both for joining us today. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there because we're coming to the end of the ceremony, but it was most interesting to hear from you both. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So,
thank you.
To conclude this inspiring ceremony, we are going to finish with an important message from Maria Gabriel, a European Commission for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, which you'll be able to see on the screen now. In a nutshell, she says that she's a great supporter of the WLP and emphasizes the importance of women leaders in technology, innovation and business. She's closely following the program and the progress of its cohorts and will give it her continued support. And she places your efforts in a wider European context, showing the importance of your role in enabling Europe to be at the forefront of the deep tech revolution. So thanks to Commissioner for those rousing words and support. And as she pointed out, 2023 could provide even more opportunities for women like you from the first and second cohorts of the WMP, along with other people and other women tuning into today's ceremony to develop and grow your skills, something to keep an eye on. And now to bring this award ceremony to a close, I'd like to officially invite you to stay tuned in the EIC community website. We will add more information on the next cohort of skills enhancement program coming in spring 2023. Additionally, we are reopening, a reminder, our open call for mentors. Keep in touch and submit your application. And if you want to join us as an experienced mentor and to be available to offer personal mentoring to our EIC Women Leadership Program participants, we're going to leave the link for the applications in the YouTube chat box so you can see how to apply. We'd also very much appreciate your feedback on this event. So please do put your comments in our satisfaction survey. We're going to share it with you soon after the event, and the link is being posted in the YouTube chat, hopefully as I speak. Before I leave you, I would like to say thanks again to all the inspiring speakers who have participated in today's award ceremony. The event would not have happened without the hard work of everyone behind the scenes. So thanks to the technical team, to Ismail, and to the colleagues from the European Innovation Council, and of course, a big thank you to the audience for following and participating today. And I conclude by congratulating the 84 ladies for completing the second cohort. May you spread your wings further and inspire other women to aim higher and fly further.